Hello students, Mr. Young here, and we're going to talk about writing a proper paper introduction. Let's get to it, shall we? Of course, you're watching this video already. I have an example here. Let's talk about the anatomy of an introduction. So your introduction really has two big parts. Number one, the hook, and number two, the thesis statement. These things probably sound familiar from English class, because we all learn the same thing, and I just went to talk to the English teachers. Your hook is your first statement. It's something that you're using to grab the reader's attention so they want to read the rest of the paper. It can be a question, a profound statement, a quote, some kind of scenario, like imagine it's 1776 and you're a poor farmer and the British destroy your farm. What would you do? George Washington was going to fight. Something like that. There you go. Something like that. A quote. I could start off, in my example, a George Washington quote. Profound statement. Washington was more than just a president. He was a hero, or something like that. Profound statement, question, quote, play out a scenario. Anything like that. We'll go through one when we do my example paper in a moment here. Your thesis statement is a single sentence that tells what the rest of the paper is going to be about. You need to do it in a single sentence. Don't use any proper nouns like referencing yourself or the reader. So no like yous or I's. And please don't say, in this paper I will blah 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 blah. Don't do that. So there we got a hook and a thesis statement. Now, in the thesis statement, because your paper is going to be 3 body paragraphs, because remember, it's going to be the intro, 3 body paragraphs, and a conclusion. We'll do conclusions another day. Your thesis statement will probably have like 3 parts to it. So you'll say, well, we'll do an example. Let's head over to my example. So I'm writing a paper on George Washington. I need a hook and a thesis statement. Let's do this. So I like to go with a question. Let's say George Washington is known throughout schoolrooms as the United States first president, but he was so much more than that. Actually, that didn't pan out to be a question, pan out to be a profound statement. So there we go. We're kind of hooking in the reader. It's like, well, what else was he other than the first president? So now we're on to the thesis statement. Because we're going to have 3 body paragraphs, I need 3 things. I mean, like, sort of a thesis statement that outlines these 3 paragraphs. So I need to think of 3 general things I know about George Washington. What else was he? George Washington was not only America's first president, but a warrior and a successful businessman. Alright, so what this tells me, other than I'm terrible at spelling, is this is my thesis statement that is going to tell me what all 3 paragraphs are going to be about. Not only was he America's first president, so body paragraph is going to be, this is going to be about him being a president. We know that he's going to be a warrior and a businessman. So now I know what each paragraph is going to be about. So my whole first paragraph is going to be about Washington as president. Here he is as a warrior, so we're going to talk about things like the French and Indian War and the commander of the Continental Army, stuff like that. And now I'm going to talk about how he's a plantation owner and a brewer. These are all things I just know already because I've already done research on George Washington. So you're going to want to make sure you do plenty of research on your person. So you have three basically genres, three main topics to elaborate about in your 3-body paragraphs. And that's how you write an introduction. I hope that makes sense. So here's my hook. It's a profound statement. George Washington was much more than a president. In my thesis statement, tells me what my 3-body paragraphs are going to be about. George Washington was not only the first president, but a warrior and a successful businessman. So that's what my 3-body paragraphs are going to be about. If you go ahead and move on to the next video, we'll talk about writing a body paragraph. All right, I'll see you there.